This is tape recording number 6810C03, SO Class 8-10, the 10th lecture given by L. Ron Hubbard to students of the first Class 8 course on board the flagship Apollo on the 3rd of October 1968. The title of this lecture is Assists. This tape lecture has been classified confidential. Copyright 1968 by L. Ron Hubbard. All world performance rights reserved. This tape has been re-recorded by the audio unit of the flagship Apollo of the Sea Organization.
Oh, and all of a sudden, my right arm fell off, and it's went, oh, my God, ow. And to this chin music, you get in ARC breaks, PTPs, missed whistles. He'll answer your questions, boy, because they're right there ready to spit out. And then find out what it is. You don't arbitrarily audit something without finding out what it is. So this is one of these things where you are doing a sort of an assessment. It isn't a list, don't you see? You're assessing. And you ask him what he thinks it is. And he normally will tell you, I don't know, so you've got to suggest it. And very often he'll say, oh, no, oh, God, I haven't got any idea at all. You get through. You don't have to shout at him. You get through. You just say it, and all of a sudden you got a blowdown. Well, if it's a body thing, you would simply follow through the routine of 3, of OTIII. But the second you start contacting what it actually is, or identifying, it starts cooling off, and the feces reaction becomes far more reasonable and rational, even though it's knocking him half flat. See? So what you would do is try to get this body thing, find out what's wrong with the body thing, find out what's wrong with him and the body thing. Let's just get a little hits on it. Let's just get some data, and then let's try to run an incident 1 off of this body Thetan, and you sometimes will find the body Thetan has been overrun already on incident 1. See, a number of conditions can exist when you're handling a body Thetan. But you find out what condition it is, and then you do the usual for 30. Now, don't always assume that it's a cluster. But it could be a cluster, and there is a mutual engram. So, if it's a body, by protest. All right, for this planet, and for this confederacy of the 21 adjacent stars and its 76 planets, the incident 2, it is a very long, involved, and complex instance, about 36 days. It starts out normally with a capture, some kind or another. Capture. And don't think of yourself as I'm trying to run a capture of having been airy-fairying around in the air and somebody something or other and got you down with a net and all that that. Because people at that particular time and space were walking around in clothes which looked very remarkably like the clothes they wear at this very minute. And the cars they drove looked exactly the same, and the trains they ran looked the same, and the boats they had looked the same. Circa 1950, 1960, this civilization has simply copied R6 100% because they were told to. And they walked down streets that looked like these streets and lived in houses that looked like these houses and so on. That's what the hell. And there was quite a bit of huffle-luffle and mince upset and so on before R6 took place. What it was the loyal officers were the body, the elected body. They called them the loyal officers. They were there to protect the populations and so forth. And they had elected a fellow by the name of Xemu, could be spelled Xemu, to the supreme ruler. And they were about to elect him. And he took the last moments he had in office to really goof the floof. Yes, I don't blame you for dropping something. And they were imported. They were actually The trick was to shoot somebody, disable somebody, very often a needle into a lung, and at the same time to hit him with frozen alcohol and glycol, which preparation is guaranteed to pick up a Thetan. All he had to do was pick him up and put him in a refrigerator, and they had him, boy. Because he tried to exteriorize from the body, there he was, frozen. And they threw them into collection points, boxed them up in boxes, threw them into space planes, which are the exact DC-8s. The DC-8 airplane is the exact copy of the space plane of that day. And no difference, except the DC-8 had fans, propellers on it, and the space plane didn't. And they threw them into refrigerated units and so on, in view of the fact that Einstein was absolutely right. No man can't go faster than the speed of sound, or speed of light, which is a bunch of balderdash. The length of time from the planet Coltis to the planet Tigiak, which is the name of this planet, was 9 weeks, and you'll see that it's many light years. Coltis is one of the planets, and is to this day one of the planets of the North Star, Polaris. And people were buried in here by the billions and the billions and the billions, and they were buried in here with boxes, and they were put in boxes and stacked around, and the people who were on this planet already just caught it in the teeth. They weren't bothered. Nobody bothered to pick them up. They just shot their administrators from guns and shot their control points out, and they took these people in boxes and so forth, and they dumped them, and then they set off hydrogen bombs on the top of each primary volcano there is on this particular planet, and when they blew up, it blew the Thetans into the air, and after the bomb, an electronic ribbon, which also was a type of standing wave, was erected over the area. The tremendous winds of the planet blew every Thetan there was straight into those particular vacuum zones which had been created. These were brought down, packed up, and put in front of projection machines, which with sound and color pictures first gave them the implant which you know as clearing course, and then a whole track implanted which you know as OTIII. After this, however, about the remainder of the 36 days, which is the bulk of them, is taken up with a 3D supercolossal motion picture, which has to do with God, the devil, space opera, etc. They go 5 pictures to 5 words, and we have the full record of what it is. And it goes on for about 36 days, and then these poor bastards were let wander out. They were then boxed up again, and the boxes were mixed, so that there were 2 assembly areas. One was Las Palmas and the other was Hawaii. And in these 2 assembly areas, they took samples from each volcano area and put it in little boxes. They had an assembly line, and at Las Palmas, it runs down the main street of Las Palmas. We've had more damned accidents on that main street you'd shake a stick at.